Hi everyone, it was so good to see a lot of you on our Zoom call. That made my day. I'm going to go ahead and reread what I read to you over Zoom so that the people that weren't able to join us can know what's going on in the book, and I'll finish it today. And then what we're going to do is I will post on Seesaw. I'm going to try to figure out a way to post like a poll or something for you to respond to let me know what read aloud we should do next. Okay, here we go. Awards. I liked Mr. Tushman's speech, but I have to admit, I kind of zoned out a little during some of the other speeches. I tuned in again as Miss Rubin started reading off the names of the kids who'd made the high honor roll, because we were supposed to stand up when our names were called. So I waited and listened for many names as she went down the list alphabetically. Reed Kingsley, Maya Markowitz, August Pullman. I stood up. Then, when she finished reading off the names, she asked us all to face the audience and take a bow, and everyone applauded. I had no idea where in that huge crowd my parents might be sitting. All I could see were the flashes of lights from people taking photos and parents waving at their kids. I pictured Mom waving at me from somewhere, even though I couldn't see her. Then Mr. Tushman came back to the podium to present the medals for academic excellence, and Jack was right. Eczema Chin won the gold medal for overall academic excellence in the 5th grade. Charlotte won the silver. Charlotte also won a medal for music. Amos won the medal for overall excellence in sports, which I was really happy about because ever since the nature retreat, I considered Amos to be like one of my best friends in school. But I was really, really thrilled when Mr. Tushman called out Summer's name for the gold medal in creative writing. I saw Summer put her hand over her mouth when her name was called, and when she walked up onto the stage, I yelled, "Woohoo, Summer!" as loudly as I could, though I don't think she heard me. After the last name was called, all the kids who'd just won awards stood next to each other on stage, and Mr. Tushman said to the audience, "Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored to present you this year's Beecher Prep School Scholastic Achievers. Congratulations to you all." I applauded as the kids on stage bowed. I was so happy for Summer. "The final award this morning," said Mr. Tushman, after the kids on stage had returned to their seats, "is the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to honor students who have been notable or exemplary in certain areas throughout the school year. Typically, this medal has been our way of acknowledging volunteerism or service to the school. I immediately figured Charlotte would get this medal because she organized a coat drive this year, so I kind of zoned out a bit again. I looked at my watch, 10:56. I was getting hungry for lunch already. Henry Ward Beecher was, of course, the 19th century abolitionist and fiery sermonizer for human rights, and whom this school was named. After whom this school was named, Mr. Tushman was saying when I started paying attention again. While reading up on his life in preparation for this award, I came upon a passage that he wrote that seemed particularly consistent with the themes I touched on earlier. Themes I've been ruminating upon all year long. Not just the nature of kindness, but the nature of one's kindness, the power of one's friendship, the test of one's character, the strength of one's courage. And here, the weirdest thing happened. Mr. Tushman's voice cracked a bit, like he got all choked up. Sorry, lost where I was. Okay. He actually cleared his throat and took a big sip of water. I started paying attention, for real now, to what he was saying. "The strength of one's courage," he repeated quietly, nodding and smiling. He held up his right hand like he was counting off. Courage, kindness, friendship, character. These are the qualities that define us as human beings and propel us, on occasion, to greatness. And this is what the Henry Ward Beecher Medal is about, recognizing greatness. But how do we do that? How do we measure something like greatness? Again, there's no yardstick for that kind of thing. How do we even define it? Well, Beecher actually had an answer for that. He put his reading glasses on again, leafed through a book, and started to read. "Greatness," wrote Beecher, "lies not in being strong, but in the right using of strength. He is the greatest whose strength carries up the most hearts." And again, out of the blue, he got all choked up. He put his 2 index fingers over his mouth for a second before continuing. "He is the greatest," he finally continued, "whose strength carries up the most hearts by the attraction of his own. Without further ado, this year I am very proud to award the Henry Ward Beecher Medal to the student whose quiet strength has carried up the most hearts." Who do you think it is? So, will August Pullman please come up here to receive this award? Yay! You guys, I have to tell you, I just had some sriracha, which I know a lot of you are big fans of, and my lips now feel like they're on fire. So I'm just having to have some water. Too much sriracha. Okay, floating. People started applauding before Mr. Tushman's words actually registered in my brain. I heard Maya, who was next to me, give a little happy scream when she heard my name, and Miles, who was on the other side of me, patted my back. "Stand up, get up," said kids all around me, and I felt lots of hands pushing me upward out of my seat, guiding me to the edge of the row, patting my back, high-fiving me. "Way to go, Augie! Nice going, Augie!" I even started hearing my name was being chanted. Augie, Augie, Augie. I looked back and saw Jack leading the chant, first in the air, smiling and signaling for me to keep going, and almost shouting through his hands, "Woohoo, little dude!" Then I saw Summer smiling as I walked past her row, and when she saw me look at her, she gave me a secret little thumbs up and mouthed a silent, "cool beans" to me. I laughed and shook my head like I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it. I think I was smiling. Maybe I was beaming. I don't know. As I walked up the aisle toward the stage, all I saw was a blur of happy, bright faces looking at me, and hands clapping for me. And I heard people yelling things out at me. "You deserve it, Augie. Good for you, Augie." I saw all my teachers in the aisle seats, Mr. Brown and Miss Petosa and Mr. Roach and Mrs. Watanabe and Nurse Molly and all the others, and they were cheering for me, woohooing and whistling. I felt like I was floating. It was so weird, like the sun was shining full force on my face and the wind was blowing. As I got closer to the stage, I saw Miss Rubin waving at me in the front row, and then next to her was Mrs. G, who was crying hysterically, a happy crying, smiling and clapping the whole time. And as I walked up to the steps to the stage, the most amazing thing happened. Everyone started standing up. Not just the front rows, but the whole audience suddenly got up on their feet, whooping, hollering, clapping like crazy. It was a standing ovation for me. I walked across the stage to Mr. Tushman, who shook my hand with both his hands and whispered in my ear, "Well done, Augie." Then he placed a gold medal over my head, just like they do in the Olympics, and had me turn to face the audience. It felt like I was watching myself in a movie, almost like I was someone else. It was like that last scene in Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, when Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Chewbacca are being applauded for destroying the Death Star. I could almost hear the Star Wars theme music playing in my head as I stood on the stage. I wasn't even sure why I was getting this award. I wasn't even sure why I was getting this medal, really. No, that's not true. I knew why. It's like people you see sometimes, and you can't imagine what it would be like to be that person, whether it's somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who can't talk. Only I know that I'm that person to other people, maybe to every single person in that whole auditorium. To me, though, I'm just me, an ordinary kid. But hey, if they want to give me a medal for being me, that's okay. I'll take it. I didn't destroy a Death Star or anything like that, but I did just get through the 5th grade, and that's not easy, even if you're not me. I'm going to finish it. We have 2 short chapters left. Pictures. Afterward, there was a reception for the 5th and 6th graders under a huge white tent in the back of the school. All the kids found their parents, and I didn't mind at all when Mom and Dad hugged me like crazy, or when Via wrapped her arms around me and swung me left and right about 20 times. Then Papa and Tata hugged me, and Aunt Kate and Uncle Poe, and Uncle Ben. Everyone kind of teary-eyed and wet-cheeked. But Miranda was the funniest. She was crying more than anyone and squeezed me so tight that Via had to practically pry her off of me, which made them both laugh. Everyone started taking pictures of me and pulling out their flips, and then Dad got me, Summer, and Jack together for a group shot. We put our arms around each other's shoulders, and for the first time I can remember, I wasn't even thinking about my face. That's so good. I was just smiling a big, fat, happy smile for all the different cameras clicking away at me. Flash, flash, click, click. Smiling away as Jack's parents and Summer's mom started clicking. Then Reed and Maya came over. Flash, flash, click, click. And then Charlotte came over and asked if she could take a picture with us. And we're all like, sure, of course. And then Charlotte's parents were snapping away at our little group along with everyone else's parents. And the next thing I knew, the 2 Maxes had come over, and Henry and Miles and Savannah. Then Almost came over, and Eczema. And we were all in this big, tight huddle as parents clicked away like we were on a red carpet somewhere. Luca, Isaiah, Nino, Pablo, Tristan, Ellie. I lost track of who else came over. Everybody, practically. All I knew for sure is that we were all laughing and squeezing in tight against each other, and no one seemed to care if my face that was next to theirs or not. Oh, no one seemed to care if it was my face that was next to theirs or not. In fact, and I don't mean to brag here, but I kind of felt like everyone wanted to get close to me. The walk home. We walked to our house for cake and ice cream after the reception. Jack and his parents and his little brother, Janie, Summer and her mother, Uncle Poe and Aunt Kate, Uncle Ben, Tata, and Papa, Justin and Via and Miranda, Mom and Dad. It was one of those great June days when the sky is completely blue and the sun is shining, but it isn't so hot that you wish you were on the beach instead. It was just the perfect day. Everyone was happy. I still felt like I was floating, the Star Wars hero music in my head. I walked with Summer and Jack, and we just couldn't stop cracking up. Everything made us laugh. We were in that giggly kind of mood where all someone has to do is look at you and you start laughing. I heard Dad's voice up ahead and looked up. He was telling everyone a funny story as they walked down Amsfort Avenue. The grown-ups were all laughing too. It was like Mom always said, Dad could be a comedian. I noticed Mom wasn't walking with the group of grown-ups, so I looked behind me. She was hanging back a bit, smiling to herself like she was thinking of something sweet. She seemed happy. I took a few steps back and surprised her by hugging her as she walked. She put her arm around me and gave me a squeeze. Thank you for making me go to school, I said quietly. She hugged me close and leaned down and kissed the top of my head. Thank you, Augie, she answered softly. For what? For everything you've given us, she said. For coming into our lives. For being you. She bent down and whispered in my ear, You really are a wonder, Augie. I'm starting to cry like I always do at the end of books. You are a wonder. That's how it ends. I'll read it one more time. She bent down and whispered in my ear, You really are a wonder, Augie. You are a wonder. So sweet. That's the end. Can't believe we finished it, team. That was a long book. What a beautiful story. So I'd like you to jot about a couple things, and I might actually assign some of these in after spring break for you to really jot and post so I can comment on it. But I want you to jot about, first of all, what you think about the ending, how it made you feel, what it made you think of, how you would feel if you were Augie, maybe how Augie has changed and how he grew as a person and as a character throughout the book. And then I'd also like you to jot about what you think the theme is. And remember, I've told you that theme is an idea that we talk a lot about in 4th grade, and I know that from teaching 4th grade last year. So theme, you want to think about theme as like, what is the life lesson? What did the character learn? How did the character grow? What do you think the author's trying to teach us? So in our book clubs, we've talked about this. Especially the Out of My Mind group. We talked a lot about that. So that's a challenge for you, is to jot maybe even a full paragraph, like 5 sentences at least, about what you think the theme is. What life lesson do you think we learned from Augie that we can think about in our own lives? Okay, the author's always trying to teach us something. We always learn different lessons through what we read. So try that. I hope you enjoyed the ending. I think it's so beautiful. I think there's so much to learn from this story, and I'll share more of my thoughts once I hear yours. But it's a really beautiful story, and I think we can learn a lot from it. If you have suggestions for the next read aloud, please let me know, because I'll be ordering it on Amazon since we can't leave our homes. So let me know if you have any ideas. I love you all.